Hi everyone, it's B. Today I'm going to be recounting to you the Legend of Bloody GIR, the supposed reason for Invader Zim's cancellation in 2002. If you clicked on this video, I'm going to assume you're probably familiar with what Invader Zim is, but if you don't know or you weren't a scene kid in the early to mid 2000s, Invader Zim was an animated series that aired on Nickelodeon between the years of 2001 to 2002, then again on Nicktoons between the years of 2006 and 2011. It followed the story of Zim, an alien from planet Earth who comes to Earth and attempts to conquer the planet, all while making enemies with his classmate Dib. GIR, which stands for G Information Retrieval Unit, is the robot assistant of Zim and is the epitome of lol XD random humor that was really popular back then. And that, plus his super cute design, made him a perfect character for scene kids everywhere to obsess over and plaster on all of their clothes. Again, I'm making fun of myself. When I was like 13, I had a GIR backpack, like 5 GIR t-shirts. One of them said, "Me and the squirrel are friends." I used to wear that a lot. I had a GIR mirror that I used for doing my makeup, GIR pajamas, GIR fuzzy socks, a GIR hat. Basically anything they sold at Hot Topic that had GIR on it, I probably owned it. GIR has 2 different looks, his regular robot look and his Earth disguise. A green mongoose dog suit with a zipper on the stomach. If you don't know much about Invader Zim, I can almost guarantee that you have probably seen GIR in his mongoose dog disguise at least once, probably while walking past like a Spencer's in the mall back in the day. His robot look typically has blue accents, but he also has a duty mode in which he will totally shed all of his Rafflecopter, lols, XD, random tacos personality and become completely competent, and the accents of his robot form will change from blue to red. With that background context out of the way, I'd like you to imagine for a moment, if you will, that the year is 2012. Creepypastas like Jeff the Killer, Ben Drowned, Sonic.exe, and Slenderman are on the rise. You spend your days on YouTube watching full-grown men scream on the top of their lungs while playing Amnesia: The Dark Descent, drawing Nyan Cat on the corners of your homework, and everyone is wearing I Heart Boobies bracelets, not for the intended reason. Being obsessed with Invader Zim, you decide to look it up online and find episodes since it's kind of hard to find on actual TV, and find out that it was canceled a decade ago. But why? It's such a good show. According to everything you see online though, it's because of Bloody GIR. While looking into this whole Bloody GIR theory, you stumble across a story on Creepypasta that was created recently called Invader Zim Lost Episode, GIR's Rage, that in typical cliche creepypasta fashion recounts the tale of some poor soul who, after finding a DVD of all the Invader Zim episodes at a garage sale, given to them free of charge of course because the owners of it seemed relieved to be getting rid of it for some reason, stumbles across a horrible and disturbing lost episode. It's another one of those definitely made by a 12-year-old things, and it's honestly super funny, so I'm just going to read the whole thing to you word for word just so you get the idea of what we're working with here. Today, I got a DVD of all Invader Zim episodes at a garage sale. Cool, right? Well, you're wrong. They seemed generous to give me the disc, but they had to look like they were relieved of getting rid of it. Does anyone else find that strange? Anyway, I went back to my house, I watched all the episodes, but then I saw another episode. Must be an unfinished episode because in the intro there was no music. I thought, however, there was an audio in the episode itself. GIR was eating a taco as usual, but Zim snatched the taco and shouted at GIR. He said to never bring smelly human food in the base, ever. I thought GIR would ignore him as usual, but I was wrong about that too. GIR's eyes turned red and evil music was playing, and GIR busted open the front door and walked out without his disguise. GIR went to Dib's house. As usual, Dib wanted to manipulate GIR, but he was standing still as if he was ignoring him. GIR came closer to the screen and it cut to Dib terrified. GIR was tearing out Dib's organs and put them in a taco shell. GIR went over to Professor Membrane's lab and knocked over every machine and test tube, causing a fire. The fire was photorealistic. Professor Membrane shouted, "It's a disaster! No! No!" Like he really meant it, and not in a comedic way. GIR smashed Professor Membrane against a wall, knocking him out. GIR ripped out his liver and stuffed it in a taco shell. He looked upstairs. I knew who he was gonna kill next. GIR flew over to Gaz's room. Gaz obviously was not glad to see him, but she had more of a terrified expression. GIR's hand turned into a buzzsaw and started to slash at Gaz. Gaz dodged as much as she could, but when she was trying to get out of her room, she tripped. GIR distracted Gaz and sliced up her heart and put the pieces in a taco shell. GIR went back to Zim's house. Zim walked backward in fright. GIR was floating over, his hand turned into a saw, and GIR chased Zim around the base. Zim tripped, then got up. He ran out of his base with his disguise, being chased by GIR, who still has no disguise. Zim was cornered by houses. GIR chopped off Zim's legs and Zim was dragged toward GIR. Zim's body hit GIR, who became bloodstained. GIR chopped Zim up and put pieces of him in the taco shell, which became a taco with legs, arms, and body. Head in it. GIR started to eat the taco and walked back to the base. I haven't looked at Invader Zim in the same way again, and I watched it again. So, I know that a lot of that didn't make any sense grammatically, but like I said, I read it word for word. That's just what it says, and that's why I said it's one of those things that was definitely written by a 12-year-old, and that's why I wanted to read it to you. And it was really fun, too, so... Being that I was 13 years old at the time that I found this creepypasta, I was absolutely fucking terrified of these kinds of stories. Like, I was obsessed with creepypasta characters, you know, like every other edgy 13-year-old ever, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't also have nightmares about them literally all the time. But regardless, I still took this as complete fact and was entirely content with the fact that Invader Zim was cancelled because of the Bloody GIR episode. Because, I mean, there's no way Nickelodeon would ever let something like that air on a kids' network, right? So it has to be true. Oh, what's that? People can just make things up on the internet? Sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of me listening to Pretty Rave Girl so loud that my Skull Candy headphones sound like I'm playing the music through a tin can, so... It wasn't until recently, while making my last video actually, that I remembered about the existence of Bloody GIR, so I decided to look it up and was actually very surprised to find out that though the GIR's Rage episode was obviously made up, Bloody GIR was actually a real thing and it really did air on Nickelodeon, just not in the way you'd think. Apparently, the show's illustrator Chris Graham drew Bloody GIR for fun one day and knew that the design would never be allowed to be properly aired on the show since it was a kids show after all, and didn't even bother to present it to Nickelodeon since they didn't actually plan to use the design for anything. But that wasn't the end of Bloody GIR. Invader Zim was known for pushing the boundaries of what was allowed on children's television, and after showing Bloody GIR to other members of the team, Chris Graham and show director Steve Russell snuck the drawing into a single frame of the episode Bad Bad Rubber Piggy, and though the image is very faint, it's still visible and did in fact air on Nickelodeon on August 24th, 2001. As the second season was in the works, the show was decided to be cancelled by Nickelodeon, so since they probably figured, why not? Who cares at this point? Chris Graham and Steve Russell decided to hide single frames of Bloody GIR in the last 14 episodes of the show. And lucky for them, Nickelodeon never really did anything about it at the time or even really seemed to notice. There's one that's actually very visible in the intro of the Mortos der Soul Stealer episode. I remember finding this video when I was like 13 years old after finding out about all of this, which was literally uploaded 14 years ago, in case I didn't already feel super fucking old today, by user Kamaru Madere that points out this specific Bloody GIR, and I just remember being absolutely shaken to my very core by the confirmed existence of Bloody GIR. I was so scared. Also, I cannot get over the editing of this video. It's just so good. It reminds me of those lyric videos that were obviously made in Windows Movie Maker with the world's crunchiest audio. Those videos were like the backbone of our society. What would we have done without them? Though there are 14 alleged Bloody GIRs, only the Bad Bad Rubber Piggy and Mortos der Soul Stealer episodes are absolutely 100% confirmed to contain one of these frames. Many of the other episodes are thought to have one of these frames, but the location of the Bloody GIR is kind of up for debate. So if you're ever bored and have way too much time on your hands, maybe go watch the last 14 episodes of Invader Zim and try to find them yourself. When episodes of Invader Zim began re-airing on Nicktoons a couple years after the show's initial cancellation, which is where I would watch the show actually when I was younger, Nickelodeon actually acknowledged the existence of Bloody GIR for the first time by digitally removing the Bloody GIR frame from the intro to the Mortos der Soul Stealer episode and replacing it with the normal frame from the normal intro. But they never bothered to do that with any of the other episodes. So, back to the rumors about the show being cancelled because of Bloody GIR. In case you haven't put two and two together by now, There's no possible way that Bloody GIR could have caused the show's cancellation because by the time he began being included in each of the last 14 episodes, the show had already been canceled and was on its way out. Not to mention that Nickelodeon didn't even know that Bloody GIR existed until well after the show had already ended. But just to put people's wild imaginations to rest, the show's creator Yonan Vasquez confirmed at an InvaderCon panel, which was an Invader Zim fan convention that was held in 2011, 2012, and 2014, that not only did Nickelodeon not know about Bloody GIR, when they eventually did find out, they didn't even really seem to care. So thus ends the tale of Bloody GIR, an inside joke between people working on Invader Zim that eventually became an urban legend thanks to some edgy middle schoolers and a few still frame shots. Honestly, this whole situation is absolutely bonkers to me, but just so 2012. It's great. It truly was the year of taking children's media and coming up with lost episodes where there's sudden TV static that cuts to a still frame of Squidward with hyper-realistic blood eyes while the Pokemon Lavender Town theme plays backwards or something. I have no idea what we were doing back then. And yes, it's super cliche and cringy to us now that the genre has been played out for so long, but back then it was like peak horror literature. And was the background of my phone in middle school a picture of all the main creepypasta characters drawn as cute anime boys? Yes, it was. I'm not gonna lie about it. And out of all the cheesy creepypastas that have ever existed, Bloody GIR really is not that bad. It's just more funny than anything. Also, if you're extra bored, do yourself a favor and go on DeviantArt, look up Bloody GIR, and just get ready for some of the best, clearly drawn by an edgy 12-year-old drawings you'll ever see. I am not exempt from this, just to be clear. I didn't have a drawing of Bloody GIR in my room growing up, but I did have pictures of Mongoose Dog GIR and Robot GIR that I drew myself hanging above my bed when I was like 13 next to the map that used to come inside of the disc case for Skyrim and a drawing I made of the inventory screen for the Iron Helmet from Skyrim. So, fear not, I too was cringe. Cringe but free. I hope that you guys all enjoyed this little nostalgia trip back to the early 2010s, and let me know in the comments if you remember hearing about Bloody GIR back in the day or any other weird TV show urban legends you might know about. I've been having a lot of fun making these sillier videos lately, and I've just been kind of picking topics at random based on thoughts I have pop into my head throughout the day where I'm like, oh, I remember that. And then spending the time researching all of this and going back through super old or outdated websites and outrageously old YouTube videos to find examples of what I'm talking about has been just a blast. And so I really hope you guys have been enjoying these kind of more random videos as well. So anywho, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a good day or night or whatever time it is wherever you are, and I will see you all next time.